You're listening to TechRecruit, a podcast that educates talent acquisition and recruitment professionals on innovation to attract talent across all industries. We're glad you're here.
Welcome to the TechRecruit podcast. Today on our show, we have a very special guest. Ms. Amy Miller is with us, and she is the Senior Technical Recruiter for Google. Welcome, Amy.
Thanks for having me, Stacey. I'm so excited to talk with you.
I think this is such an interesting story, how you got recruited from Microsoft. You were there for 5 years.
Yeah.
And now at Google, and you've been there, what, 5 months?
Oh gosh, I think a little over 6. I think March 20th will be 7 months, if I remember correctly. I don't know, it feels like 10 years old.
It's 8 months. I have it written down.
Yeah, is it 8? Yeah, I mean, my goodness. I mean, it feels like 100. I don't know. Yeah, that was so interesting. And I have to tell you, Stacey, I have a little bit of a reaction every time people talk about why people leave jobs. And it's, oh, well, they had a bad boss, or, oh, well, this or that. And I actually get angry because I feel like I need to defend my Microsoft boss. Like, she's amazing. I would follow her anywhere. But I also love my new Google boss.
Which is why I was thinking there must have been, what did they offer? They must have nurtured you for a while. I feel like it's like the epitome of the nurturing of the great candidate.
You know, it's so interesting. I've shared this publicly. Like, I'm not too worried, hopefully, that I don't get in trouble for this. But no, you know, for me, I was at Microsoft for 5.5 years, and I was coming up on, you know, I was close to getting promoted, and there were some good things happening. And as I mentioned, love my boss. Like, she's still someone I consider a good friend. Like, I burst into ugly face crying tears when I resigned. Like, it was really painful. But what happened? I've been here 5 years now at Microsoft, and I've done some cool stuff, but I'm kind of in a place where I'm wondering, like, where do I really go from here? You know, and the way that recruiting is set up there, not good or bad or indifferent, just the way it is, there's not necessarily a ton of senior opportunities. You know, there's management and there's different things that you could do, but I was like, I've been doing this 20 years. You know, like, at some point, am I doing my best work? Am I still learning? Am I still growing? Or am I just kind of going through these very simple motions that I've been doing for years and years and years? So just in the course of that, having internal discussions, what can I do next? What business groups can I take on? Things like that. And all my friends started leaving. So it was really interesting. A bunch of people that I worked with at Microsoft started going over to Google. And I thought, okay, you know, I mean, I had my own preconceived notions what it was like to recruit for a big company. And I've, you know, interviewed at Amazon before and had other conversations with other companies, but never Google. And I thought, okay, that's interesting, because if people that I know and like and respect are going there, some of the things I think I know must be wrong. And so I just kind of, you know, hey, let me know how it's going. Let me know what you think, you know, just kind of having those conversations. And I can't tell you, Stacey, because I just honestly don't remember what happened, but I just had one of those days where I'm like mentally flipping my desk and, you know, I'm out of here and I hate it. And I want to do something different. I hate this place, this job, this whatever. And I got home, and wouldn't you know it, that's the day a Google sourcer reached out to me. And I was like, the universe is speaking to me. I need to see what's going on here. So it was really just a combination of several things that people I liked and respected were going. I was questioning my own career path. What's next for me? And frankly, I just had a bad day. It was no one's fault. No one did anything wrong. It was just a bad day. And so when I saw that email, I'm like, I'll respond. You know, let's see what happens. I normally ignore those, but I'll respond. And that just kicked off a series of conversations that even to the last minute, I was like, what do I do? I don't, you know, it's like choosing, but I don't know. This must be how, like, The Bachelorette feels, you know, like, I have these 2 great boyfriends. Which one should I go out with? You know, I don't know.
Totally.
It was painful.
So you chose Google.
I did. Yeah, I did.
What was the interview process long? What was that like? Can you share what?
Yeah, you know, it's, I sometimes feel guilty about this because it was surprisingly fast for me, or maybe it just felt fast because I was so conflicted. Good friend of mine took 6 months. I mean, just the back and forth and the things that she was looking for. And, that her process was pretty lengthy. And my process was maybe 2 months. And part of that was me kind of going, oh, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. So super quick. I mean, I met kind of the standard number of people and I was invited to the local office and, it was easy. They made it easy. And I remember at every touch point thinking, when am I going to see the bad stuff I keep hearing? When am I going to experience some of the kind of the conventional wisdom around this process? And I just never did. And I think that was a big part of it. And frankly, I had a recruiter that stayed really close. So again, just forming those bonds with the candidates and being available and answering questions. And she was amazing. And I didn't even find out till later, but she's apparently like really new to recruiting. But she did amazing. So it was just having those, just having that sounding board and someone that was willing to kind of listen to my thought process and what I was struggling with and what questions I had. I mean, that is really what sealed the deal. Like if that's the culture and we can be so open and we can be so transparent, like that's where I want to be.
It's interesting. You kind of mention a few things in regards to your own recruitment into a new role.
Yeah.
And one of them, the main thing being the timing. The timing was just right.
That's it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing I would probably ask, do you feel that the position you were offered was far superior to the one that you currently had?
Boy, it depends on the day, Stacey. I got to tell you, there's some days I'm like, what am I doing here? No, I'm just kidding. No, I think in all seriousness, and this is full transparency, what sealed the deal for me was I was approached by, Google just kind of generally. And that's part of how Google hires. Like we hire you for the company and there's sometimes team matching that happens on the backside and things like that. And I was very clear. I told my recruiter, I'm like, here is what it would take to pull me out. Like, I love my job. I love my boss. I love what I'm doing. This is my wish list. If you guys can accommodate this ridiculous diva wish list, we should talk. And they're like, yeah, sure, we can do that. And, so we had those conversations. And so some folks that I knew had gone to this specific team, kind of a newly created team, just still coming together. It's only been around for a couple of years now, focused on leadership recruiting for engineers. And I was like, that's cool. Like that's almost kind of, it's kind of specialized, like you're working with this very narrow population and it's a very critical population. Everybody needs good engineers, everybody. But we sometimes forget, like there's a leadership element there and we need people who are business savvy as well as technical as well as da-da-da-da-da. And so being able to kind of live in that world for a little bit, I was like, oh, that would be really cool. It's just a very different, I was all up and down the leveling in previous roles. So it was kind of nice to be able to focus on that. And I got to tell you, one thing that almost killed it for me though, I was very clear, like this is the job I want. This is the manager I want to report to. Like I am very clear. And when I made it through the hiring process and I was told that I had a green light to move forward, the recruiter slipped and she said, so now we figure out a team match. And I said, absolutely not. I said, I already told you, I want this team. I want to do this work. The diva popped up again. Unfortunately, they wanted me to, so it worked out. But yeah, it was really interesting. So I don't know that I would say one is significantly better than the other, but it was so different. And it was an opportunity to really work a muscle that I hadn't worked that much in the past. That's why I wanted to do it.
Mm-hmm. Was there things on your diva list that you didn't have at Microsoft that you got at Google?
Oh my gosh.
Without asking too much about your diva list.
Yeah, no, I mean, the equity was pretty nice.
At Microsoft or at Google? Okay.
No, I think really what it was the opportunity to take on a very senior role, and working with a larger client base. So like, for example, at Microsoft, I would own a specific group. And that could be a very large group. It could be 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 people. But I would own kind of this one population, and I would have all the recruiting up and down that, the junior level, the senior level, and everything in between. So coming to Google, I was able to really focus on, it was, instead of up and down, it was more side to side. Like I have all the engineering managers for a particular group. So in my case, it's YouTube, which is phenomenal, and I love them. But I'm just getting to work with all of these different products and services, and you think, oh yeah, YouTube, that video streaming plays. Oh, it's so much more. And so the opportunity to dig into that, but yet still operate at that senior level is just fascinating. And I think I'm learning so much that had I not made the change, probably still would have been fine, still a good recruiter, doing the Microsoft thing. But I think there's definitely things I've learned that are going to serve me really well in my next role, wherever that is.